What's up, guys? Golden here. So, Wizards of the Coast just announced Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths. So they just came out with the opening trailer. They just came out with the first couple cards, confirmed some of the mechanics in the new set. It's set to release here in a couple weeks, and I wanted to give you guys a preview of that if you didn't catch the live stream on YouTube or on Twitch, or if you just want a quick overview. And I'm going to give my first thoughts on the set as well. So I won't have my big face here the whole time. I'm going to shut off the camera here in a second, so that way we can get some bigger pictures of the cards. But I'm going to share the initial trailer video with you guys, and we can talk about that, and then we can go into a couple of the cards and the mechanics. So quick video today, something a little bit different, but something I wanted to do. All right, so let's get into the trailer now. So Ikoria, obviously revolving all around big boys, big fatty monsters. So we can expect to see some monsters in the opening trailer, and they did not disappoint with that. A lot of bugs. I guess big monsters have to look like bugs all the time. At least in Ikoria. So Vivian comes strolling out, gives the old head bob, calls in her pet dragon, cat, tiger thing. So, cat dragon versus the bug. Yes, big scaly monster. Let's shoot it with an arrow. The arrow turns into a cat dragon. How cool is that? So I'm pretty sure that's a wink to the new companion mechanic that's going to be in this set, which we'll talk about here shortly. Okay. Basically just them fighting. And okay, I thought that was his tongue. I didn't know what the heck was going on right there. Cool. Alright. I wonder what's going to happen next. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? It looks like it may have just mutated. So Mutate's another mechanic coming up in this set, so we'll talk about that here in a second as well. One of the cooler mechanics, I think, also could be one of the ones that breaks this new set if it does. It depends on how they put it together. But all right, so that's Ikoria. That was basically just Vivian doing Vivian things. So we'll all right, let's get into the card. So the first card I wanted to show off is what's shown at the end of the trailer video, and that's Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So it's a big creature set. Makes sense. Godzilla, the biggest and baddest of all the monsters. I mean, it's kind of tacky, but they got permission from the studio that owns Godzilla to use it as a card, and why not? I mean, some people think it's kind of stupid. Personally, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's a neat idea to kind of intertwine lore and those type of things from other movies and from historical events, and they've done it before, and I think it was a pretty cool move on Wizards of the Coast. It adds a little bit of recognition for people that are outside of the game looking in, that for Godzilla they know that name, and I think it's a cool way, I think, for them to try to draw some players in, and I'm on board with that. It's pretty cool. So as a card, 5 mana, 7/3, trample, lethal damage dealt to creatures you control is determined by their power rather than their toughness. So I haven't looked too much at the rules around the text for this, but it essentially looks like it's a 5 mana 7/7. there are ways around the text, I'm sure. We'll see what other cards they print in the set, but 5-mana 7/7 with Trample was pretty good. I mean, I don't think it's going to be broken. I think it's going to be something that could be cool to work to build around for sure, and other cards, depending on what they come out with, could go really well with this. I mean, if you have something with a ton of power, and like 1 toughness. I know there's some cards out there, I can't think of any offhand, that have that. Could be a good way to build around. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to stick in the meta for a long term, but I could be wrong, especially if the other cards that they start printing in Gruul are really powerful. This could be a mainstay as like a 2 of or something in Gruul decks for sure. Usually Gruul's pretty aggressive, but if we go with big monster meta, this could stick around. Moving on, 2 planeswalkers that we'll see could be pretty good. The first one is, I think, gonna be good. The second one we'll have to see, but the first one is Vivian, Monsters Advocate. So the whole set built around Vivian. Anytime you have a bunch of creatures, Vivian is the go-to for that. And this card kind of showcases that as well. So passive ability, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play creature spells from the top of your library. So that's a powerful effect as is. There's other cards that do that. Usually they're not bad no matter what they are. And that as a passive ability on this Planeswalker makes it good. Now it only comes in at 3 loyalty. But the +1 ability is one that you will probably want to use. It has a pretty powerful effect. You create a 3/3 and you put Vigilance, Reach, or Trample on the 3/3. So as a +1 ability, that's pretty good, and it takes it to 4 loyalty. 4 loyalty isn't hard or isn't easy to deal with. There's not a lot of ways to deal 4 damage right off the bat, especially when you're creating a 3/3 blocker. I mean, you could see that with Oko. Oko was a little bit different, obviously. This isn't a 3-mana planeswalker, but a 4 loyalty planeswalker with a 3/3 and with Reach in its way is pretty good. So we'll have to see. But the real interesting part of this card, and the one I'm kind of excited for, and we'll see if it kind of breaks this card a little bit, is the -2 ability. When you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser converted mana cost, put it into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So it's the key points of this card is you get to search. So the turn this is played, you're probably not going to get huge value, but you're going to +1 it, put a 3/3 on the board, that's good. And then next turn, if you can -2 and you put down like a 4 or 5 drop, especially in a creature build, and you're putting down another 4 drop or 5 drop, and you get to search, so you get to choose whatever you want. That's a really good effect. So it's something that I think can be too powerful, depending on how the creature cards that they come out with in this set. I haven't looked onto builds that I would make, but this is definitely something I'm going to play around with right off the bat and see how I can make it work in some different builds. And a card that I think is going to be good, even though it's a 5-mana planeswalker. I'm glad it's a 5-mana planeswalker. It's not Oko, it's not 3-mana planeswalker, so I don't think it's broken, but it's something that I think is going to be really good. We'll see. All right, so next we're going to get into the second planeswalker in the set that they announced, and that is Luca. Coppercoat Outcast. This card I don't think is as good. We'll see. It has 3 different abilities. It does have an ultimate ability at the bottom there. So the first ability being exile the top 3 cards of your library. Creature cards exiled this way. You may cast this card from exile as long as you control a Luca planeswalker. So basically +1, you get 3 cards exiled, kind of like a draw 3 if you can keep Luca on the board. Pretty good effect. Obviously gives you card advantage if you can keep the planeswalker healthy, and it puts it to 6 loyalty, which is huge. Obviously you're probably going to need an exile effect to deal with it. We'll see though, because the current set is coming out with a lot of powerful creatures, so it might be harder than we think to keep high loyalty planeswalkers on the board, especially with trample counters and those type of things as well. So we might we might see when the new other cards come out that this might drop in overall power level, because I think the thing that makes it the most powerful is the high loyalty that it comes in with. But we'll see. So the -2 ability, exile target creature you control, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card with higher converted mana cost. Put that card into the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. So this is kind of like a Vanifar type effect. Also pretty good. You're basically turning a creature into a bigger creature. So it's something that you can use to tutor out something pretty big, and you can use this as a recurring engine to get larger creatures onto the battlefield for sure. And then its ultimate, each creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So it's something that you can use to finish the game. If you got 1 or 2 big creatures on the board, you're probably going to be able to kill your opponent with that effect. All right, so let's get into some of the other cards. So the other cards are going to kind of display some of the new mechanics that are going to be in the new set. We have a few. We have Companion, Mutate, and then we also have counters for abilities, which are going to be pretty cool because it's going to allow you to put permanent effects on creatures instead of temporary effects. So the next card will show that off kind of the best. So you have Fully Grown. It is kind of like a giant growth. Target creature gets +3/+3 until the end of turn, but it puts a trample counter on it. So the +3/+3 effect will go away at the end of turn, but the trample will not. So it has a more permanent effect. It allows you, instead of just giving trample for 1 turn to go along with another ability or reach for 1 turn, it can keep that extra ability. So it adds a little bit more flexibility. I think it's kind of cool. And this is a cool card as well. I think in limited formats, it will be good. In standard, we'll have to see based on some of the other cards, but I think this is mostly going to be a limited card here. Okay, so let's talk about 2 of the new mechanics that they came out with. The first one, both are very interesting mechanics, and both are kind of unique from what they've done in the past. The first one is Companion. So this card is Karuga the Macro Sage, and it's a companion card. So what is a companion card? Basically what Companion is a way to give you access to a card that is not in your main deck. So in standard, it would be in your sideboard. It does take a slot in your sideboard. You do have to have it there. If you don't have a sideboard, it doesn't. So if you don't have a sideboard, you can just have it outside of the game. But if you have a sideboard, it does have to take a slot in your sideboard. You can only have 1 companion card, so you can't have multiple. In order to use the companion ability, meaning have access to it outside of your main deck, you do have to fulfill certain requirements. So in this case, your starting deck contains only cards with converted mana cost 3 or greater, and land cards, so nothing 2 or less. That in order to use the companion ability of this card, your main board has to have that. So now your sideboard can have other cards that don't fulfill that, but if you do bring them into your main deck, then you can no longer use the companion ability. So kind of think of Companion as having a one-shot commander, or if you're a Brawl, like a one-shot Brawl commander that you can cast at any time. Obviously, you still have to pay the mana cost. Once you cast it like it was always in your deck, it goes to the graveyard if it's that way. If they put it into the top of your library, it goes into your library. So once it's cast, it's just like it's a normal card, but you can cast it from your sideboard at any time if your main deck fulfills the requirements. So that's Companion. You can still put these in your main deck without fulfilling the companion requirements. So like in limited formats and draft, if you draft this, it can be just a 5 mana 5/4 in your main board with the ability of when it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each permanent with CMC 3 or greater. That makes it a playable card in limited formats, but for the cards that have companion to really be worthwhile, you're probably going to use it as a companion. Gives you access to a 5-drop, can fill a hole in your main board that you need access to at any time, and we'll see what other cards they come out with these abilities, but it's pretty cool. I don't think Karuga's really too great, to tell you the truth. I mean, its other ability, the ETB, is pretty good. I mean, a 5 mana 5/4 that draws cards seems a little slow to me, and I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy, but we'll see with some of the other cards that they come out with. So the next ability. So this is the ability that I really am excited to play around with. I looked at a few of the Mutate cards. They only kind of showcased the ones that I'm showcasing in this video in the spoiler announcement, but there are some more already out there on their website and stuff like that, and that is Mutate. So if you can read this, each card with Mutate will have its main cost, and then it'll also have its Mutate cost. So Mutate is an alternate cost that whenever you cast it, you have to attach it to a non-human creature. So it has to be non-human, but you only have to pay the Mutate cost. So that could be more or less depending on what the ability is, but it allows you to attach it to a non-human creature. So you do have to have one on the board. One of the interesting ways to play this card, you get to choose which card is on the top and which card is at the bottom. So whichever card is on the top, the stack of cards has all of the attributes of that card. So the CMC is the CMC of the top card, the name is the top card, the stats is the top card, the creature type, and it's going to be a creature, obviously. But if it's on top, it's a legendary with that name. If it's on the bottom, it's not a legendary with that name anymore. So you could play another one of those cards to the side, just as a quick side note. But if it's on top, then it will be like in this case, if Luna's on top, it's a legendary creature. It's also a beast elemental dinosaur that's green, blue, and red. So this is an interesting way to do these things. Say you have protection or anything like that, you could stack a protection card on there. Now the card on the bottom serves to add to the abilities of the cards on the top. So say you put a card on the bottom with flying and trample, in this case, and Luna's on the bottom. And it won't be 6/6, it won't be a legendary creature, but it will still give flying and trample to the stack. Also, underneath of it is a very interesting ability where whenever the creature mutates, it has an effect. So there's going to be other cards like that. If it's on the bottom, it still gets that effect, even if it's on the bottom. So if you can stack these together in interesting ways, and the way you stack them together will definitely matter. I think it gives a pretty cool flexible play style to this type of mechanic, and it's pretty crazy mechanic for Magic the Gathering for sure. We'll see if it creates problems or if it makes the game a lot more fun to play. I'm hoping for the latter, and we will see what happens. If you want a more detailed look at these mechanics, go on MTG's website. They have some good explanation videos, probably better than I can do, but this mechanic for me, I think is going to be one of the fun ones to play with. We'll see. There's some cheap cards with this too, so that's going to be where this game is going to make the games more interesting for sure. So we'll see what goes with that. And there's one more. I don't have a picture for this one, but they're bringing back cycling. For those of you newer to MTG or those of you that haven't played any of the legacy formats, cycling is a way to make useless cards less useless. So it's an alternate cost that's on the card. When you pay the alternate cost, you have to discard the card, but you get to draw a card. So it allows you, as the name kind of describes, to cycle through your deck. Say you have a Luna, if a Luna had cycling, and you had a Luna in your hand on turn 2 and nothing to do on turn 3, and you needed lands, and you weren't going to get to this 5-drop, you can pay the cycling cost, discard it, and draw a card, and hopefully fix your hand. And I think it's a good mechanic to bring back. It definitely allows you to play more efficiently, and allows you to sometimes play Magic when otherwise you might not have got to because you're getting land screwed. So I'm excited to see cycling come back into standard, and it's definitely going to be a good mechanic overall. I don't see a way where it can be bad. So that's some of the spoilers. Obviously, we got a lot more spoilers coming out here in the coming days I'm excited to see what happens with those new cards, and I'll probably do 1 or 2 more videos on some of the cards as they come out. I'm not going to do it every single day, but every few days until the set releases, once they release a couple new cards, we can do some reviews on those as well. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, leave me a comment, give me a like, Let me know if you like these types of explanation reveal videos as opposed to the normal gameplay videos, and I would be happy to keep it up and keep doing that. And again, I thank you for your support. Subscribe if you want to see some more videos. Like I said, I am going to have some more Ikoria spoiler videos coming out here shortly, so stay tuned, and I will see you next time.